5 seconds.
Welcome all to the last council meeting of the year. I open the meeting at 7 p.m. I'll now pass on to our Chief Executive, who will read out the formalities.
Thanks, Mayor. Welcome all. This is an ordinary meeting of council. My name is Alison Beckwith and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Banyule. Councils are required to ensure council meetings are conducted in a COVID-safe way. The council meeting is being held with the appropriate physical distancing and density quota of 1 person per square metres. The state government has provided an emergency management update advising that meetings indoors represent an increased risk of transmission, and Local Government Victoria recommends that virtual meetings continue to occur where possible. Council meetings can be held via a combination of in-person and virtual attendance. For example, the councillor and staff can be present in person with virtual facilities available for the public to participate. Due to the density quota, council is unable to welcome the public to tonight's meeting. So therefore, the council meeting will be live streamed via our website and Facebook pages. Temporary amendments have been made to council's request to speak and public question processes to allow participation without having to attend tonight's meeting. Requests to speak tonight are in the format of pre-recorded videos and written statements that will be read out on the residents' behalf. We thank you for tuning in for tonight's meeting and for adapting with us during these changing times. Rules for public participation during the request to speak process is, please note that any public questions submitted to tonight's council meeting will be printed in the minutes. Council does not accept questions as part of the request to speak process. No statement may be derogatory, defamatory or directed to an individual councillor, member of staff, ratepayer or member of the public. And a 2 minute time limit temporarily applies to all requests to speak. The timer will be used and a warning will sound at the 1.5 minute mark, and officers will sum up in the last 30 seconds if the required statement is being read out. I'll just now introduce you to who is around the table and attending tonight's meeting. So from your left, we have Jeff Glynn, Director of Assets and City Services. We have Scott Walker, Director of City Development. We have Councillor Mark De Pasquale, Councillor Elizabeth Neely, Councillor Alida McKern, Councillor Peter Castaldo, the Mayor, Councillor Rick Garotti, Councillor Fiona Mitsinakos, Deputy Mayor Tom Malikan, Councillor Alison Champion, Councillor Peter Demoulas, Kath Brackett, Director of Community Programs, Mark Giglio, Director of Corporate Services. And beside me is Gina Burden, Manager of Governance and Communications. Also here tonight supporting the team, the Governance and IT team with our JETS team coordinating our live stream this evening. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, CEO. Our meeting is being held on the traditional land of the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people, and on behalf of Banyule City Council, I wish to acknowledge them as our traditional custodians. I'd also like to pay our respects to the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung elders, past, present and emerging, and to acknowledge other Aboriginal and Torres Strait elders joining us today. Banyule City Council is committed to and values diversity within our community. I'll now read our diversity statement that demonstrates our commitment. Banyule is a diverse community made up of people from different cultures, beliefs, abilities, bodies, ages, sexualities, genders and identities. Council is committed to inclusion, access and equity for everyone. These principles foster cohesiveness, empower our people and improve the well-being of the Banyule community. Moving on, would any councillor like to advise of any leave of absence? Believe not. The confirmation of minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on the 23rd of November 2020. May I please have a councillor to move and second? Move Councillor Malacan and seconded Councillor Neely. I now put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? I declare the motion carried. Disclosure of interests. Are there any disclosure of interests? And we will note that there are no disclosures. Presentations. There are no presentations scheduled for this evening. Urgent business. There is no urgent business. We now move on to the reports section of the agenda. Petitions. There are no petitions this evening. We now move on to item 3.1, Emergency Management Planning Reform. There are no public speakers on this item. There is a recommendation on our papers. Can I please have a councillor to move? Moved Councillor Malacan and seconded Councillor De Morales. Councillor Malacan, would you like to speak?
I just think it reinforces the strength of our emergency management plan, given that no changes are required. And I think it's a good report, but just reflects the good management plan we already have, so I'm happy to support it.
And Councillor De Morales? No comment. Any other councillors who would like to speak? No. I now put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? I declare the motion carried. Item 3.2, this is strengthening opportunities for community connection and reducing gambling harm. There is a recommendation on our papers. Can I have a councillor move?
Mayor, just a slight amendment, if I may.
Yes,
Point 4.
councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. Point 4 receives a progress report in 3 months after the commencement of the project, and it should read "and" at 12 months.
Thank you, councillor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Would you like to move the entire motion? So
Thank
that's
you.
moved by Councillor De Pasquale and seconded by Councillor Malacan. Councillor De Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, just quickly, I just wanted to make that slight amendment to make sure, and I think I want to have a look at the programs that are in the Libraries After Dark program. We are making a decision tonight, a significant amount of monies in this program to offset problem gambling, and we do want as many people in the community to know about this. I know I'll be getting out this information to my community, making sure they are aware of it. So there'll be facilities or parts of the program will be at the Watsonia Library, Watsonia Neighbourhood House, but I think all councils would like their communities to know what is available in this program. So just another step to give us an understanding of what's happening in the new year, and then we can plan 12 months ahead of this continual program. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. And Councillor Malacan.
Yeah, we've had a very strong history in trying to assist to counteract the many harms that gambling causes within our community, and this, I think, is another step towards that. But it's interesting, in Banyule, there's $58 million lost through poker machines per year, and it's been estimated that due to the influence of COVID, our communities have saved $40 million because the poker machines have been closed down. But during COVID, people have craved connection with other people, and a lot of people attend poker machine venues because they're bored, and they just want to be out and they want to be talking to people, and they end up at poker machines at venues because that's the only place that it's open at that time at night, where they can go out, meet their friends, have a chat, and just feel connected to the community. And so for all those reasons, I think by council providing an alternative to that, I think it's a great opportunity. And if you look at New South Wales, who opened up slightly before we did, when New South Wales opened their poker machine venues, there was a 20% increase on pre-COVID levels of gambling at poker machines. So I actually thought that COVID might break the habit, people might have had less money and they would have got over that gambling habit, but it seems the opposite's happened, that people were desperate to get out. The only venues that were open were poker machines, and they gambled. So I think that this is a good program. It'll start at the right time of year. It's worked elsewhere. Darebin and Moreland have had a similar program running for a few years, but they were funded by the state government. We tried to get some funding, but we failed. So I think this is a good initiative. interested to see how it goes, and hopefully it will be successful, but we potentially roll out right across the whole city. So happy to support it tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Neely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just thought this was a good way to deal with, you know, the effects of gambling in our community. You know, as the report said, 40% of Banyule adults participate in some form of gambling, which is a worry. Then we're not the most vulnerable council, but people that are in the habit of it are vulnerable. So I see this initiative as a really proactive way of getting in touch with the community and providing a range of programs. The report also mentioned that gambling activity is underreported, which really highlights the need for education, and there's been a lot of education going out to the community, but this is also a very practical way to provide programs for our residents. So I fully support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Castaldo.
This is a very important initiative addressing a serious problem, gambling, and as we've heard, a very significant loss to our community. But it's not just about that, it's also about providing alternatives for entertainment for our residents. And there's not a lot of public offerings that our council, I think, that I'm aware of, that provide that opportunity for people to get entertainment in the evening that doesn't necessarily revolve around alcohol or gambling or other activities of that nature. So I think this is a really good outcome. For a longer-term consideration and strategy for an evening economy, perhaps, or an evening opportunities for our residents. We've got 3 libraries, so there's opportunities for an expansion, and lots of public facilities that I'd love to see broaden their offering to our community. And just getting back to the subject of gambling, there is a very considerable loss at that locality in Banyule. It's 7.7 million to one venue at the local RSL club, and we need to continue to think about is gambling a useful activity to our community and what we do about it longer term. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? If not, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? Any against? I declare the motion carried. Item 3.3, COVID-19 response, Banyule's economic support package, status update on ratepayers, business and the community. We have one speaker, Mr. Kevan Hill, and a pre-recorded video will now play.
BRAG wishes to acknowledge and compliment Council for its COVID-19 financial support package to ratepayers, businesses and community groups. Council has responded positively and quickly to the extraordinary times and impact that COVID-19 has inflicted upon people. In the quarterly financial management report for the period ending 30 September, we note that the underlying operating deficit is forecast to be 13.674 million compared to a budgeted deficit of 8.444 million. The report does not, however, touch on how this deficit of 13.674 million will be funded. As an example, will it be funded by way of bank overdraft and or carried forward and offset against funding that otherwise would be available for the 21-22 capital works, hence reducing next financial year's total capital works program. Regardless of this question, BRAG would strongly recommend that Council undertake a comprehensive half-yearly review of its financial position and forecast and look at all possibilities for efficiencies to reduce the forecast deficit of 13.674 million. BRAG has made numerous submissions over time to Council relating to its budgets and financial reports and pointed out various areas of the budget where efficiencies could be made or excess capacity built into the budget. One stark example is the total annual budget for employee costs, which has consistently been underspent between 2 to 3 million over the past 4 years of the previous council. This potential saving needs to be harvested and used to offset the forecast deficit, along with other savings that can be achieved. Council needs to take steps now to reduce the forecast deficit and not have this financial burden sitting on its shoulders when considering the 21-22 budget in early 21. Thank you for receiving this commentary.
Thank you for that, Mr Hill. So, councillors, I believe we have before us wording on a recommendation that is slightly different. Do I have a councillor once it appears on the screen? Do I have a councillor who would like to move the recommendation and maybe point out the additions to that? Councillor Malikan?
I'm happy to move as per the papers, but also at point 9 to allocate 70,000 from the existing economic recovery package for a one-off payment to 10,000 to each of the 7 neighbourhood houses for digital enablement programs, and at point 10, enter an informal service level agreement with each of the neighbourhood houses to ensure the payment is responsive to their specific requirements.
Thank you, councillor. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Mitsinakos. Thank you. Councillor Malikan, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the submitter for his words of encouragement. Certainly, I think the economic package we put forward was the best. I've said it before, I think it was the best in Melbourne. Received lots of good response, and I think it was supported the most vulnerable and the most needy. But I'd like to credit our Mayor for coming up with this amendment. I think it's an important step. Our neighbourhood houses have suffered through this process and trying to get back on their feet. They do fulfil a very important role, and that's even an expanding role now, and very happy to support the neighbourhood houses because of the great work they do. But I think this package has been an excellent example of how council has supported our communities. But people seem to think that the COVID-19 disaster is over, but there's still a lot of people out there that are not only financially impacted, but mentally impacted as well. And I was reading a few of the stats over the weekend. It's incredibly sad when you think that so many young people have been badly impacted by this, and their recovery will take a long time, and some might not meet their full potential because of what's occurred during the last 8 months. So incredibly sad to think that that's going to have that long-term impact, and anything council can do, I think we should try. I think helping the neighbourhood houses does help some of the most vulnerable in our community, because they run off the smell of an oily rag, and very worthy organisations, and I think it's great we can support them. And it has been a very difficult time for all of us. The whole state suffered, the whole nation suffered, and this council's prepared to support people, particularly the ones most impacted, and I think that's a great opportunity for us to do that, and I'm very happy to support this tonight.
Thank you, councillor. And councillor Mitsinakos, any comment? No, thank. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Castaldo.
I'd just like to note the extensive program that is part of our COVID plan, and it is one that's very much targeted towards those that most need. But what has been interesting to see is the low uptake of the rate reductions that we were offering, and of originally $100 and $500, and we changed that to $250 and $500. And while we considered there may be a much larger uptake of that, we haven't seen that come through yet. And we have advertised that on rates notices, on many publications, but I'd just like to point out to any of the viewers this evening, if you are experiencing hardship, we can contribute to rate waivers. And I think it's really important that we get that out and continue to speak to our community that are experiencing hardship. One other area that I'd like to also identify in the report is the significant work that we're doing with businesses moving forward. And one thing that I think is very important is to activate our high streets, get traders out on the pavements and support those food businesses and bring that life back to our activity centres. And I've already started to see It's really great to see people really starting to get back out there again, but please continue to go out, support our local traders, and I look forward to the continuing activation of those spaces as part of this program.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Neely.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm impressed with what Council's done regarding the economic support package, as it's taken into consideration ratepayers as well as business recovery. We won't see the effects or the financial economic effects of COVID until next year, when JobKeeper is no longer available. So I agree with what the councillors have said so far about, it's not over, it's going to continue, and we need to be planned and prepared for it. So recommending, to extend parts of the existing recovery package an extra 6 months is forward thinking, and I guess freezing non-statutory fees and charges as well till next year is something that I think is also forward thinking. So yeah, and the neighbourhood houses addition is amazing, because they do amazing work and they run on very little and give maximum impact with that. So this is another way to give back to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor De Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. More of a process question through yourself, but possibly to our CEO as well. I think point 6, if we're able to go to point 6, all the previous points and after point 6 is, it will get picked up, I think, with our budget discussions if we do have to extend things, but with point 6, fees, charges and rent for all local community groups have been waived until 31st of March 2021. What mechanism do we have that will pick that up? So we're having a conversation to see whether we need to extend that, because we won't be in budget discussions quite at that point.
I think that's already factored into the economic package that was resolved by Council, but happy to confirm via the appropriate director.
Yes, through you, Mayor. It's just a continuation from as part of the support package, which originally had the the relief from fees for community groups only going up to the 31st of December, which at a point in time in September we did extend it based on the change in circumstances, the extension of COVID restrictions. So we've now factored in an extension again to the 31st of March, which at time we'll review again.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll just briefly note that one of the themes that the Council picked up during COVID, and even more recently during the community vision exercise that we've commenced undertaking, is the need to support digital enablement within the community, and the realisation that there are a number of people in our community who still struggle to use and access IT and to navigate through those channels. And so this additional package of 70,000 that the Council is moving is really designed to fill what we've identified as a service gap within the local community. So very interested to see how that program unfolds and what the benefits are, and probably hearing back from our director on the success or otherwise of that. So with that, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? And any against? No. I declare the motion carried. In section 4, Planet, there are no, or environmental sustainability, there are no reports in this section of the agenda tonight. So we now move on to section 5 of the agenda, place, and item 7, item 5.1, 7A Curzon Street, Ivanhoe, land at rear, sale of land proposal. I understand that we have wording that differs slightly to the recommendation. Councillor McKern, I believe you may look to move that and to also explain the change in wording.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, the purpose of tonight's address is to make a decision about the future ownership and management of the subject site at 7A Curzon Street. Having inspected the site both from 7A Curzon Street and from the Darebin Creek Reserve, and yes, I did hike up the near 1-in-1 slope and studied the history and the submissions, and having read the delegates' report, I believe on balance that the officer's recommendation should be upheld to abandon the sale of the land proposal. While I appreciate the...
Sorry, Councillor, it was a good point raised. Just to explain what the amendment was before you get into the speech.
Oh, I am sorry about that. The amendment refers to item 4 of the recommendation, or point 4, and states that council plant out the subject land with appropriate Indigenous ground covers, shrubs and trees with the species to be commensurate with the desired vegetation profile for this section of the Darebin Creek Reserve. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. So we have that moved by Councillor McKern and a seconder. Seconded Peter Castaldo. Now we'll hear from you, Councillor.
Okay, shall I keep going from where I was, or do you want me to start again? I believe that on balance, the officer's recommendation should be upheld to abandon the sale of the land proposal. While I do appreciate the disappointment that this decision will present to the party interested in purchasing the land, a significant amount of officer and councillor time has been invested in weighing up all the considerations and public submissions received. It needs to be said that the submissions and feedback received from locals shows that public interest in retaining public open space for public use and biodiversity is very strong. Therefore, our public open space needs to be protected and enhanced wherever possible. In keeping with the priorities of Council's biodiversity plan then, the site should be rehabilitated and managed and controlled for invasive weeds, and therefore the re-establishment of Indigenous vegetation, and henceforth the amendment. So I'd like to thank everyone concerned for their input. It has been a mighty process, but at this point, it's believed that this is the best outcome. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Castaldo.
I'd like to support the officer's recommendation that's been amended by Councillor McKern this evening. There were a few elements to this unusual and unfortunate situation where a section of land, you could have said that should have been originally part of that block, perhaps. And also the agreed sale price was far below what is considered market price. And the additional costs that would be incurred by council to perhaps fix this anomaly are far too high. And for all those reasons, I think that we could no longer go forward with the sale. But I do also recognise the unfortunate situation the residents are now in, and agree that the changed amendment that we should take responsibility for retaining and fixing that parcel of land is quite important. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? No? In that case, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? And all those against, if any? I declare that motion carried. 5.2, 39 Grand Boulevard, Montmorency, Road Reserve adjacent. removal of vegetation associated with the construction of a car park. There are 3 speakers. A pre-recorded video will play, followed by written statements read by Director of Assets and City Services, Mr. Jeff Glynn, and the Director of Corporate Services, Mr. Mark Gilio.
Mayor, councillors, I'm Michelle Jovis and I'm speaking against this application to remove 25 native trees, noting that all contribute to the local amenity, neighbourhood character and habitat value of the swarm, and also noting that these trees supply environmental services like shade, tree canopy, habitat and climate change mitigation. Therefore, I am asking Council to either defer this decision to allow time for better consultation and design and a parking needs assessment and traffic management plan, which includes the connectivity and needs of surrounding businesses. Or I am asking that the item recommendation be changed to allow for the retention of all trees, but to proceed with the much needed car park resurfacing, line marking, new tyre roll barriers, and to install a safety barrier and more landscaping on the Buena Vista Road side to address the unprotected drop. Council's recent declaration of a climate change emergency means Council is obligated to provide projects and make decisions that do not contribute to climate change, but actually mitigate impacts as per the Community Climate Action Plan. The community are expecting Council to apply best practice and to properly consider the action plan, as well as the urban forest strategy, the Banyule walking strategy, and the Banyule biodiversity plan. Montmorency is losing countless trees with unsympathetic infill overdevelopments and new state government infrastructure projects. Now, more than ever, we expect the Council will follow its own environmental sustainability objective to conduct Council activities in a sustainable manner and to practice sound stewardship of the natural environment to ensure its diversity, protection and enhancement. Please save, protect and enhance the trees at 39 Grand Boulevard. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor. The next speaker, I'm speaking on behalf of Julie Fechner. I request that Council objects to the current design of this car park as it requires a removal of 25 trees, including 2 identified as being high retention value. This is the removal of 38% of the vegetation on the site. Removal of 38% of the vegetation is contrary to the Banyule planning scheme and many documents that BCC publishes to demonstrate their commitment to protecting green space and wildlife. The Planet and Biodiversity document 2019-22 states Banyule Council recognises the intrinsic value of the natural environment and aims to conduct its activities in a manner which ensures its protection and enhancement. Any plan developed for this site that includes the removal of vegetation fails to meet this mission statement. On the 7th of October 2019, BCC declared a climate emergency. The Mayor called on all levels of government, including local councils, to take urgent action and show leadership to combat climate change. Retention of the vegetation reduces global warming in several ways. Trees prevent climate change by absorbing and storing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and trees help reduce temperature by transpiration. The temperature under the small group of trees at midday can be 0.7 degrees Celsius to 1.3 degrees Celsius cooler than in the open area. The removal of 38% of the trees on this site will contribute to climate change. The plan to remove vegetation is not taking urgent action, nor is it demonstrating leadership to combat climate change. As stated in the Banyule Community Climate Action Plan, the more action we take now, the less pressure we put on the Earth's vital ecosystems and the better we can adapt to the impacts of climate change. It is now time for BCC to take real action on climate change, demonstrate leadership and protect all vegetation. I ask that you reject any plan for this car park that requires a removal of vegetation. The science is clear. Removal of vegetation causes higher temperatures and impacts on the health and well-being of the community.
Thank you, Mayor. I read this statement on behalf of Michelle Bullock, who's speaking against Michael Bullock, who's speaking against the motion tonight. Banyul's current council plan contains the following under the heading Planet. We will protect and care for the natural environment through the following key directions. 2.1, protect and enhance our natural environment. 2.2, conserve water and improve stormwater management. 2.3, lead in planning for and responding to climate change. 2.4, avoid waste generation. 2.5, be environmental stewards. What is proposed is the removal of 28 trees, or 43% of the trees on the site. The arborist identified 3 out of the 9, or 33%, high-value trees are to be removed, and a further 6 will have a major impact. These numbers don't include 6 or so acacias that have already been removed without approval. So how is that level of devastation protecting and enhancing the natural environment? If a developer wanted to remove almost half the trees on the site for a car park, would council approve that? This is the absolutely wrong approach to addressing the parking problems at Montmorency South. The school has grown from 250 to over 600 students, and frankly, the disregard some parents have for the safety of students walking to school and parking restrictions is appalling. You don't change the behaviour of these parents by encouraging parking by improving the car park at the significant environmental cost. After all, this is a primary school and it is meant to have local walking catchment. You achieve behavioural change by making parking harder and enforcing the existing restrictions, making driving to school the least preferred option. What will happen is a brand new car park with almost half the trees removed will simply encourage more parents to drive to school. When the car park fills up, which it does by 8:30, with a mix of mostly parents and people getting a coffee from the business centre, the parents will then look for parking.
Director, the time has elapsed. So, councillors, I understand that we have wording that differs to the recommendation in the papers. Do I have a councillor who would wish to move that? Moved, Councillor Champion, and you'll take us through that.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Regarding item 5.2, the alternate recommendation is that Council 1 withdraws planning application P1139/2020. 2, undertakes the reconstruction of the car park adjacent to 39 Grand Boulevard, Montmorency, in accordance with the following principles. None of the existing vegetation within the car park road reserve is removed. B, the existing ingress and egress to Grand Boulevard are utilised. C, the works area for the reconstruction is limited to the existing sealed area. D, it includes a parallel kiss and drop zone for at least 4 vehicles. E, the provision of a pedestrian access path from the new kiss and drop zone to the footpath and existing pedestrians access point to the shopping centre are maintained. F, the existing sealed surface in the northeast corner of the car park is removed and replanted. G, a total of 30 car spaces are provided, and H includes landscaping enhancements and habitat nesting boxes. So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. And do we have a seconder for that motion? Seconded, Councillor McKern. Councillor Champion, would you wish to speak?
I would love to speak to the item, thank you, Mayor. This project is 10 years of my life. So whatever you were doing in 2010, think about where you were at in 2010. Where did you live? Did you have children? Were they at school? Were you playing sport? What job did you have? Think about all of that for a moment. That's how long this has been in my life. And I'm actually very excited that it has finally come to council. This space, this area, is often referred to as a car park because that is really how we utilise it. However, it is in fact a road reserve. And I have had plenty of time to visualise this road reserve based on how it is used, based on the many conversations that I have had with local residents in this area who have related qualifications and interest in this space. And I would like to thank them for their input into this project. And the input has not just been in the last few weeks or tonight. Their input has been over the last 10 years, because so many of this school community and the residents are aware of it because I have been sharing it with them. So thank you to everyone who has participated in this project, in these conversations, whether you are a resident, whether you go to the school, whether you are a teacher at the school, whether you are an officer, a council officer, whether you are any of my fellow councillors. Thank you to you, to all of those who came to the site to understand it a lot better. Thank you to everyone. And I'm asking my fellow councillors to support the alternate recommendation, which allows for the retention of the vegetation and therefore no need for a planning permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And Councillor McKern, would you wish to speak?
Only that I observe that the amendment is considerably different to the delegate's recommendation, and I do support the retention of trees, particularly given what we are facing. Climate change is here. Urban heat island is real. We need to retain trees as much as we can. Green infrastructure is so unlike grey infrastructure. It cannot be removed and rebuilt in a month or a year or two. It takes many years to be the beneficiary of what a large canopy tree can provide as a carbon sink, shade, habitat, amenity, aesthetics. And we, I think, are reaching a point where that is sinking in for all of us. So I admire the amendment and I support it.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else, any other councillor I should say, wish to speak? No? In that case, I now put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? I declare the motion carried. Item 5.3, Major Transport Projects and Advocacy Update. There are two speakers to this item. A pre-recorded video will now play, and following this, a written statement will be read by Director of Community Programs, Kath Brackett, on behalf of Mr. Fred Harrington.
Hello, Mayor and councillors. My name is Michelle Jarvis and I'm speaking to item 5.3 in my capacity as President of Friends of Banyule and as a community representative on the North East Link CLG. I am against the item. Council's actions to simply note North East Link and to work in partnership with various groups to pursue the delivery of complementary projects, to explain Council's weak decision to abandon the Supreme Court action and to seek additional funding is really not good enough. We need Council to be far more proactive in advocating for the community and the fast disappearing environment at Yallambee. North East Link project is adversely impacting the health and wellbeing of Banyule residents now. The early works are non-compliant with the EPRs, complaint resolution via NALP and CPB is a merry-go-round of inaction and deception, while oversight by other state government agencies like WorkSafe and EPA is a failure. Residents and businesses need council officers and councillors to get out there and see what is going on. Residents are being forced to endure noise and unbearable dust clouds, waterways are trashed, trees are not being saved. Greensborough Road is a potholed mess and asbestos management is ineffective for residents' OHS. Stress and pressure is impacting residents' well-being, and simply having council watch and note this is not good enough. Council should be playing a leading role in having the relevant state government ministers held accountable for this ongoing harm that is occurring from the reference design early works. These comments also apply to the Hurstbridge Line rail duplication works and the Fitzsimmons Lane upgrade. We need council to be advocating strongly for the residents' needs and to have real consultation so that we get the best possible project outcomes. Thank you.
Statement I'm reading on behalf of Fred Harrington. My name is Fred Harrington, OAM. The submission relating to item 5.3 on tonight's agenda is made on behalf of the Montmorency Train Station Group, seeking councillors' support to have the recommendation of item 5.3 Major Transport and Advocacy Update amended to include the following additional clauses. Council request LXRP to revise and extend the timelines associated with the Hurstbridge Line Upgrade project, particularly in relation to the station platforms and buildings and associated works with the Montmorency Station Precinct 2. Allow full and open discussion with Council and the Committee on available options and implications, and to clarify issues about car parking both in and surrounding streets within the confines of the precincts, impact on flora and fauna, traffic management and the impact on the amenity of the local area. 5. Council seek an urgent meeting with Vicky Ward MP, Member for Eltham, in support of the more than 1,000 residents who have requested the Honourable Jacinta Allan, Minister for Transport Infrastructure, to intervene in the process of the LXRP, and seeking a meaningful consultation which meets Council's and the community's expectations for transparent design option processes in support of this request. The following comments and information are provided. In late 2019, LXRP, through a face-to-face community information morning at Montmorency Secondary College, advised the community of the Hurstbridge Line Upgrade Stage 2 was to occur, and within the works there would be an upgrade of the Montmorency Station. In the absence of any further face-to-face or virtual consultation, in late 2020, the community was invited by LXRP to a Zoom session to discuss such matters as the form, materials, colours and landscaping of a new station some 100 metres towards Greensborough. During that Zoom session, there was no opportunity to question or gain an understanding of the rationale behind the most significant change from an upgrade of Montmorency.
Thank you, Director. So, councillors, we understand we have wording around the recommendation that differs to that in the papers. I have a councillor who would wish to take us through that wording and move. Councillor Champion.
Thank you, Mayor. That Council notes the updates on A, North East Link, B, Hurstbridge Line Duplication Stage 2, C, Fitzsimmons Lane Round Upgrade, D, M80 Ring Road Upgrade 2. Council officers provide councillors with regular updates on major transport projects as circumstances change, and more information is made available from the Level Crossing Removal Project, North East Link Project or Major Road Projects Victoria. 3. Council requests the Level Crossing Removal Project undertake further consultation with the community prior to proceeding with the next phase of the Hurstbridge Line Duplication Project, particularly in relation to the station platforms and buildings and associated works with Montmorency Station precincts, which should include a full and open discussion with Council and the community on available options and implications has taken place. Clarity regarding car parking both at Montmorency Station and in surrounding streets, the impact on flora and fauna, any changes to traffic management and the impact on the amenity of the local area. 4. Council seek an urgent meeting with Vicky Ward MP in support of more than 1,000 residents who've requested the Honourable Jacinta Allan MP, Minister for Transport Infrastructure, to intervene in the processes of the Level Crossing Removal Project and seeking a meaningful consultation which meets Council's and the community's expectations for transparent design option process. 5. Council receives a further update on North East Link project and an updated North East Link advocacy project list after the contract is awarded. 6. Council receives another report and update on the major transport projects advocacy campaign on the North East Link, Hurstbridge Railway Line Upgrade Stage 2 and Fitzsimmons Lane in early 2021. So moved.
Thank you, Councillor. And do we have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Malacan. Councillor Champion, do you wish to speak?
I do, Mayor. Thank you very much. While this sounds a little bit Montmorency-centric, there's a very good reason for that. I'd like to thank so many of the Sherborne community who have ensured that as many residents and visitors as possible know specifically about the Montmorency train station project. So my community is extremely active, passionate, it's well educated, and it understands the culture of this special place. It's not just a place to get on and off a train. This is actually, the station itself forms part of a whole village precinct, all of which is utilised and loved by the residents, who are so proud to be able to share it with its visitors. And the Sherborne community wants to ensure it is included in effective and authentic consultation with both LXRP and state members. It wants to contribute to and be heard over and understand reasons for a design, final design. And it's therefore invested an enormous amount of energy, conversation and time to create a significant change.org petition, which is being presented to Minister Allen, to request a meaningful consultation. That is all the community is asking, a meaningful consultation with its members and with the ministers. All of our major projects that are mentioned here in the item tonight, they're actually legacies. They're legacies for the next generation, and we need to get them right for the local area as well as the broader city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Malikan? You don't have to speak.
But I just will anyway. Yeah, it's interesting, since they chose option A for the North East Link, the world has changed significantly. Option A was chosen because it was basically a northern freeway into the city. The number of people going to the city has changed. The number of people commuting by car has changed. The world has changed. And we have climate change. We actually have some, the major economic powers in the world are now recognise that we need to do more about climate change, and yet we're still acting on this car-dependent lifestyle we've had, and we're removing trees like they don't matter anymore. And we only got to look at the early works that's happening at the end of Green Shabara Road. Like, if that's the early works, I hate to think what's going to happen when they start dropping a tunnel boring machine into the middle of our suburbs, which is what they intend to do. And I know they'll argue it's all about jobs, 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 and we do. We desperately need more jobs in Victoria, and that's clear. But we're going to spend $16 billion on the North East Link. You'd expect that would create a huge amount of jobs, but if you actually work it out, it's $248,000 per job per year. They're very expensive jobs because the vast majority of the money goes in tunnel boring machines and concrete. And we're generating jobs in sectors that are already stretched. There's no road engineers out there that are sitting around looking for a job. They're all off doing projects. So we're creating shovel-ready jobs for people that haven't actually got the time to do those jobs at the moment. And we're massive debt, and it's all based around population growth, which isn't happening. We have the Fitzsimmons Lane, which is the requirement to build that has never been shown to us. The North East Link say traffic volumes on Fitzsimmons Lane will reduce by 20%, but they want to make this massive expansion of one intersection which leads to a one-lane bridge. It's illogical to do that. Again, the loss of trees. Greensborough Station, well, it's crying out for a bus interchange. It hasn't got one. Montmorency Station's been moved against the wishes of the residents. Like, when are we going to...
Councillor Malikan, your time's lapsed.
When are we going to do proper consultation, or just telling us what they want to do for the right price? It's appalling the way that our residents are being treated.
Thank you, Councillor, and we're equal to all speakers on the time. Councillor Neely.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. One of the main issues around significant transport projects is the timing of community consultations. Major upgrades mean a change to the environment due to construction, due to noise, the changed traffic conditions that can be unbearable at times, and we acknowledge that as councillors. We've been listening to the community, and there are some things that require a lot of change. The reality is these projects are going ahead and we want to limit the impact to Banyule residents during early works and construction. The more informed we all are, the more clarity we will have about what to expect. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have anyone else who wishes to speak? No? I might just note that there are a couple of urgent items in the resolution around writing to the LXRP and the State Member for Altham. Those letters will go out tomorrow, so this council will not waste one moment in attending to this urgent business. Would you like to sum up, Councillor Champion? No? In that case, I'll then call for a show of hands. All those in favour? And all those against? The motion is carried. In section 6, there are no reports on the participation section of the agenda tonight, so we now move on to section 7, performance. 7.1, Audit and Risk Committee, independent representative and chairperson. We have a recommendation on our papers. Do I have a councillor to move? Moved Councillor Castaldo and seconded Councillor Di Morellis. Councillor Castaldo, do you wish to speak? No? Councillor Di Morellis? No? I'll just briefly note that Dr. Irene Irvin has been serving as the chair of the Audit and Risk Committee now for quite a period now, doing a very good job and leading a very able committee. And I certainly commend this recommendation to the council for her to continue. So with that in mind, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? I declare the motion carried. Agenda item 7.2, procurement policy. We have a recommendation before us in the papers. Do I have a mover? Moved Councillor Castaldo and seconded Councillor Di Pasquale. Do we have any speakers? I'll just briefly note that the procurement policy will be coming back to Council for review in 6 months' time. There's an extensive program of work happening with neighbouring councils with a focus on shared procurement and also embedding new elements of the Local Government Act. The new procurement policy will also go through audit and risk. So this is really about continuing what we have at the moment for the next 6 months. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? I declare the motion carried. We're on to item 7.3, Quarterly Financial Management Report for the period ended 30th of September 2020. We have one speaker from Mr. Kavan Hill and a pre-recorded video will now play.
I mentioned in item 3.3 earlier that the Council's COVID-19 financial support package has been a fantastic initiative. Obviously, this has not come without cost, and the budgeted deficit for 2021 of circa 8.4 million is now projected to be circa 13.6 million by the 30th of June 2021. All choices have consequences, and unless Council takes steps to minimise the deficit for 2021, Council will reduce the level of financial discretion it has as far as its capital works program is concerned for the 2021 period and beyond. Bragg encourages Council to undertake a comprehensive financial review at the 6-month mark, 31st of December 2020, and consider all possibilities to reduce or minimise the deficit. Council has on numerous occasions told the public it is committed to reducing debt, which Bragg supports, and hence the budgeted deficit will only add to debt if it is not addressed with a mid-year financial review, 31st of December 2020, and a commitment made to minimise or reduce the deficit as far as practicable. Bragg strongly supports the reappointment of Dr. Irene Irvine as chairperson of the Risk and Audit Committee and applauds Mayor Councillor Rick Garotti for his determined leadership to improve the performance of this key committee over the past 2 to 3 years. Bragg would also like to thank past and present councillors for their service to the community. To council staff and councillors, Bragg wishes them all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you for that recorded message, Mr. Kevan Hill. We have a recommendation before us on the papers. Do I have someone to move? Moved Councillor Castaldo and seconded Councillor Di Pasquale. Councillor Castaldo, do you wish to speak? No? Councillor Di Pasquale? Go for it.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, just a few words with regards to the quarterly report. By no means is a deficit a debt accumulated, so I think the residents need to understand that this quarter will be in deficit, but it doesn't mean that we're actually racking up any debts or anything like that. Okay, so we have money in the bank which can actually cover this. And the reason why we're doing that is because we do have a significant package to support those who are affected by COVID, and not only now but also in the future too. And also we are thinking as our perception would be as council is a service industry. It's not a business. It's not a Fortune 500 company. It's not here to make profits or anything like that. It's here to service the community. That's what our community pays its rates for. Now, I think that if I were to throw out a challenge to say what service company or industry hasn't copped a hit or had a decline over the COVID-19 period, I don't think there would be any. So council would be in a similar boat to that. So we do have significant plans with regards to supporting those who, who are having trouble paying their rates. We are offsetting a lot of fees going up with regards to, renting out our halls, those sorts of things. We are also on track, Mayor, in the next financial year to pay off some significant debt which has actually come up. So we are still moving ahead with a long-term plan of being more sustainable financially. So by no means is this quarterly financial report a sign that we are in debt or we are in financial troubles. This is the way that the landscape is going. We're just managing the COVID-19 situation, and we will come out the other end very, very strong. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Castaldo, you wish to speak now?
I'd just like to note that given the difficult situation brought upon us through COVID experience, there has been quite significant fluctuations to what we would anticipate, some favourable, some unfavourable to the budget. But I can see that there's a number of opportunities for us to ensure that we do come out of this period in a situation where we can find ourselves in a good position as we were before this, and I have no concerns that we are heading in a situation in which we find ourselves in any trouble. And we have also acknowledged and supported those that need their an assistance through this difficult period as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Malacan.
Now, I'll just say a few words there. It does show a few words. Like, who needs libraries after dark when you can come to a council meeting and be entertained? No, it's not funny. Council's finances have been absolutely smashed because of this, and I'd like to thank the commentator for his kind words. We don't get them that often, but it has been a tough job. It has been a tough year for all of us this last year. And for Councillor Di Pasquale's comments, you'd think the health industry would have actually boomed throughout the COVID-19, but it's not the case. Elective surgeries have stopped. The waiting lists have grown enormously, so even the health system has suffered, and many doctors have been basically unemployed because they weren't able to do operations or elective surgery or private surgeries. So even parts of the health industry have been badly impacted, but it's, as I said before, it's the mental health issues that are really impacting on a lot of people. And financial pressures, you can, and as it's been said, we're in a strong financial position. We'll weather this storm. But there's so much to be done and so much to consider, and it has been an incredibly difficult year for council and for our residents. And next year will be difficult as well as we try to recover. And it is good that this council is in a strong financial position, that we can offer assistance. But the Speaker is exactly right. We do have to be very careful because this is residents money, and we're all ratepayers. We're all in this, you know. We'll all suffer if this council makes the bad financial decision. So this report does look alarming, but I actually think it shows the strength, the financial strength of this council and the good long-term planning we've done to get us in this position. And we will weather the storm, but we have to make sure that our residents are well placed to survive as well, and we prosper from what has been a terrible time.
Thank you, Councillor. Does anyone else wish to comment? If not, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour and against? That motion is carried. We'll now move on to a series of items regarding the awarding of contracts. And I will note, just for the benefit of the public gallery, that if the council does move through these items relatively quickly, it should be noted that quite a bit of due diligence and discussion has occurred between councillors and officers, but we may just move quite quickly through these items tonight. Item 7.4, award of contract number 10672020, provision of WLAN and managed services. We've got a motion in the papers. Do I have someone to move? Councillor Di Morales, and seconded Councillor Malikan has his hand up. Councillor Di Morales, do you wish to speak? Councillor Malikan?
Yeah, it's a significant contract, but as the Mayor explained, we have been questioned and we're satisfied that we've received good value for money, and this company will provide an excellent service at a realistic price, so I'm happy to support this tonight.
Thank you. Any other speakers? If not, all those in favour and those against? I declare the motion carried. We now move on to item 7.5, award of contract number 1078-2020, panel of arborist consultancy services. There are no speakers, and we have a motion, a recommendation on the papers. Do I have a council to move? Councillor Di Pasquale, seconded Councillor Malikan. Anyone wish to speak? I now put the motion. All those in favour and all those against? The motion is carried. Item 7.6, award of contract number 1069-2020, contractors for the construction of chain wire fencing, including cricket nets panel. There are no speakers, and we have a recommendation on the papers. Would someone like to move? Councillor Castaldo, and seconded Councillor Neely. Any speakers? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? I declare the motion carried. Item 7.7, award of contract number 0990-2019, provision of sport, recreation, leisure, open space, arts and culture consultancy services. There are no speakers, and we have a recommendation. Can I please have someone move? Moved Councillor Neely and seconded Councillor Castaldo. Does anyone wish to speak? I'll now put that motion. All those in favour and those against? I declare the motion carried. Item 7.8, award of contract number 1056-2020, provision of architectural design services panel for building projects up to $2 million. There are no speakers. We have a recommendation. Can I have someone move? Move Councillor Di Morales and seconded Councillor Mitsikanos. Does anyone wish to speak? In that case, I'll put the motion. All those in favour and all those against? I declare the motion carried. Item 7.9, award of contract number 1081-2020, contractors for minor works panel. Once again, there are no speakers, and we do have a recommendation. Can I have someone move? Moved Councillor Malikan and seconded Councillor Di Pasquale. Does anyone wish to speak? Councillor Malacan.
We don't get through it too quickly, but I just comment that the number of tenderers for these contracts is significant. It just reflects, I think, the good reputation Banyule Council has as a partner, and the fact that these people are keen to work with us, I think, generates the best possible price. So it's a good situation to have when you have so many companies that are willing and eager to work with a council like Banyule. So I think it's a good result for the community.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else wish to speak? No, in that case, we'll put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? I declare the motion carried. Moving on to item 7.10, the award of contract number 1080-2020 for the construction of the Greensborough War Memorial Pavilion. There are no speakers. We have a recommendation. Can I please have a mover? Councillor Di Pasquale, and second, Councillor Champion. Would the mover like to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a few words. Some councillors, the Greensborough War Memorial Pavilion, if we do decide tonight for its construction, will be at the site of Greensborough Oval, where there is Greensborough football, cricket, veterans, netball club. Auskick also happens out there. There's a lot that happens out there. It's one of the most used grounds, pavilions in our municipality. The amount of works, and also I do understand it is quite significant amount of dollars this evening, councillors, $550,000, $545,000 for the pavilion upgrade. And that is also, if we look around the outskirts of the pavilion and the ground too, recently we have decided to, and the works have been done to upgrade the coach's box, timekeeper's box, spoon drains around the oval. Electronic scoreboard was actually installed also. The field lighting was upgraded, LED, etc. The works upcoming in this current budget are, as we are voting on tonight, with the pavilion and also irrigation as part of the irrigation program. So, councillors, I do understand it's the spend on this oval and surrounds are around 1.3 million at this stage. I do understand that's quite significant. So, look, I really do think that the clubs will be quite happy. The residents around will be quite happy as well. So, thank you for your consideration this evening. I was hoping to get a few club representatives to be speaking on the matter tonight, to, just to give a bit of background of what clubs are actually there for you councillors. But that's okay. Maybe come budget time, they may want to say a few words, which might be quite nice as well in a submission, possibly. So thank you for considering this evening. Please. Hopefully this does get up. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Champion, do you wish to speak? Does any other councillor wish to speak? I might just note the great work that Councillor Di Pasquale has done in terms of being a great local advocate for the club there and the grounds, and I think he touched on the fact $1.3 million in investments secured for that pavilion and the surrounds. So that's a tremendous amount of investment and a great achievement. So well done on your efforts. I'd now put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? I declare the motion carried. Now moving on to item 7.11, the award of contract number 1052-2020, the construction of the Belfield Community Hub and Community Garden. There are no submitters, and we have a recommendation on our papers. I'll call for a mover, Councillor De Morales, and a seconder, Councillor McKern. Councillor De Morales, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mayor, through you. So the Community Hub and Garden, which is being developed, is the second prong to a trident in the area of that site. It's quite an exciting project, especially for me as a new councillor and getting involved, so I'm very lucky to come at the back end of it. I know that the councillors and council officers have done a lot of work in the past regarding this, and I get to be the councillor that sees it come through, so I'm quite lucky. The new facility is something which is going to bring the community together with a lot of new services from kindergartens, maternity, child health rooms, 3 large community rooms, health consulting suites, social support rooms for older adults, a social enterprise cafe, which is excellent, and a community garden and landscaping. It's clear that these facilities have really considered the intergenerational community of Belfield and the surrounding areas. And it's great to see that Banyule has really taken on the wellness of the individuals inside the community by providing a place for people to connect and engage. As we do know that connection and engagement is such an important factor after such a hard year for so many people. And by going out and actually seeing the communities, seeing that these are the little communities are the ones that keep those bubbles of people together and socially interacting. And it's a beautiful thing to know that Banyule has supported Belfield within this development. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. And Councillor McKern, do you wish to speak?
It's more an acknowledgement of process. It's been quite the process to deliver the community hub and community garden plans. And while I would have liked to have seen the current Belfield Community Garden retained for its marvellous expression of community effort, I appreciate the design and consultation effort gone into the development of the new plans for the new Belfield Community Hub and Garden. I've spoken with members of the Belfield Community Garden, many of whom live in Chelsworth Ward, and they have applauded working with the council officers as part of a wholesome community consultation process that has heard the group's interests. We now look forward to turning of the sod and achieving a successful development worthy of its committed and enthusiastic local residents and community gardeners. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any other speakers? Councillor De Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just would like to mention, you know, how, look, it makes me just, I don't know, say reminisce, but just think of the past with regards to the amount of years we've been speaking about this site, etc. I mean, you know, credit needs to be given to previous councillors, and I'm not just talking about, you know, Councillor Langdon, you know, as the previous ward councillor there and all his work there. I'm talking about Councillor Wayne Phillips with regards to his push to us as councillors to, you know, buy the school sites in the first place down that area, to previous councillors again before that, who really did put in the, you know, the dominoes in effect with regards to, you know, the facilities we sit in here, you know, the Ivanhoe facilities that we're currently building and almost finishing. You know, it was a really good game plan. And yeah, when you look back over the history of, you know, Banyule over the last, you know, 10 to 15 years, it's, you know, you'd hazard to look at another, you know, council organisation and just, and sort of see that their planning has just sort of been seen through, and it's just been so resilient and so hardworking as well. So really great credit to our directors, staff, our CEO, our previous CEO as well, Simon McMillan. Yeah, it's just great to be part of an organisation or representative for the community at an organisation which has such vision, long-term view for its community. So we know that anything we go through, whether it be COVID or anything like that, we'll get through because we're looking 10, 15 years ahead. So there's no problems there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Look, I'll just briefly reiterate the comments that were made by Councillor De Pasquale. Items of this nature don't happen overnight, and it's been acknowledged that they're years in the planning and the process, and they're achievements that happen over multiple councils. And certainly Councillor Phillips and his vision to embark on the acquisition of those school sites certainly made this possible. And I certainly also have to acknowledge the tireless efforts and works of the previous ward councillor in Olympia, Craig Langdon, you know, to make this happen and get it off the ground. So as Councillor De Pasquale has said, one of the hallmarks of this council has been our ability to to roll out and stick with long-term plans of the council, and I think that has really set us up for success, and this is another terrific example of that. And I know now with our new councillor and our new ward councillor, De Morales, we'll see that through to success now. So a great reflection on councils gone by and a great insight into what our new council is going to take going forward there. Does the mover wish to sum up? No? In that case, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? I declare the motion carried. And the final item in this package of items for the evening, 7.12, the Belfield project, the awarding contract of sale for delivery of market housing, Banksia Village. We have one speaker, and a written statement will now be read by Director of Corporate Services Mark Gillio on behalf of Anthony Lunkin. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Mayor, and Mr Lunkin is speaking for the recommendation tonight. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to comment on the pending outcome of the sale of market housing in Belfield, Banksia Village. Great things are happening in housing development in postcode 3081. I congratulate councils and council staff for their contribution to ensuring that people moving to 3081 in the future will have the healthiest, most comfortable, energy efficient and community connected new homes possible through the Belfield development and the renewal of public housing by the Victorian Government. It is particularly pleasing to note that the potential developers of Belfield have committed to providing local jobs for Indigenous and disadvantaged community members, support for local business and community groups, deliver excellence in environmentally sensitive design, preserving trees on the site, and last but not least, a satisfactory financial return for council. Throughout the development process, council has demonstrated its commitment to mitigating and adapting to climate change with actions, not just words. The ESD outcomes complements the Victorian Government's current work on revising ESD planning policies statewide to enhance the environmental performance and resilience of our built environment by providing new developments address issues of water, energy, waste, urban heat, transport, and air and noise pollution exposure. In addition, it is likely that changes to the National Construction Code in 2022 will support energy efficiency across Australia through measures for passive solar design applied to all new dwellings and subdivisions. Council can continue to contribute to these processes by urging that the Victorian Government's review of planning rules bans gas in new buildings, renovations and retrofits by joining with other councils in employing environmental upgrade finance to support the installation of renewables for homes and local businesses in Banyule through low or zero interest loans.
Thank you, Director. So we have a recommendation before us tonight. I'll now call for a mover. Moved Councillor De Morales. And a seconder, please. Councillor Malikan. Councillor De Morales, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. This is the third prong of the Belfield project of that trident, and it's an exciting project to be happening with the council officers and the previous council working hard to make sure that it fits within the Banyule urban design project. I don't want to repeat what the speaker has said. It seems like he's said a lot regarding the benefit of this project and how well it ties in with the community. Just want to say congratulations to Banyule as a council and to Belfield, to my ward, Olympia Ward. This is an exciting and great project for the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm trying to remember who seconded. Sorry, Councillor Malikan. Please, do you wish to speak?
I have to second everything from now on. I do now, sorry. This is a great project, and as the Speaker and the mover have said it, it ticks so many boxes, but you could argue it's not really council's role to provide affordable housing. That's a state government responsibility. But I think this is a demonstration program of what can be done. And it is council's role to support the most vulnerable in our community, and this is what that does. And that, as the Speaker said, these will be affordable houses, they'll be environmentally friendly houses, but they'll be comfortable houses to live in. They'll take advantages of the natural sunlight, and they'll be efficient houses. So the people that live there will not only buy into an affordable accommodation, but it'll be cheap to live there and it'll be comfortable. So these is a real demonstration program of what's possible. And it's amazing, you know, this is a massive, massive project, and yet there's been no community angst against it. There's been no negative comments, only positive comments. So I think that's a credit to this council, and as it was said before, the previous councillors, but this is a great program. And Victoria has the lowest level of community housing available in Australia, the lowest rate in Australia. And that is something, as people of Victoria, we should be quite ashamed of. So this is a good step forward. It's a small step when you look at the need, but it's a significant step that council's prepared to step up and provide affordable housing for our most vulnerable in the community, and I'm very proud to be a part of a council that's doing this.
Thank you, Councillor Malikan. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Castaldo.
This is a very significant project, and as Councillor de Morales says, it's the third part. But sometimes you think we're going to be selling something as a council, but I would also say we're not just selling, we're actually enabling significant development to go in here. And it delivers along all the triple bottom line here, both social, environmental and economic. And I'm looking forward to making further announcements on this project around how good this is in delivering for long-term, future-proofed housing that responds to the needs of the community, both in cost of living pressures and also allowing them to live in a house that is going to deliver good long-term climate change impacts. And people like Dr. Anthony Lunkin that contributed this evening, he is a tireless worker in our community, working towards moving us forward and delivering good environmental outcomes. Eva Parton is another one, a mother, but she puts a lot of time in, even though she's got it pretty tough with young kids. There's a ton of people that have worked, tried to encourage and push towards good outcomes on this. It's previous councillors, it's also staff. We have a significant team that played a role in this and bringing the community together, getting their views, and they've all participated and all added something unique. So when I looked at the plans for this, I'm very excited, and I hope when we sign the dots and cross the T's on the contract of sale here, it does go through, because it will, I hope, be one of those projects that we look back on and think this was very good and sets a bar for future housing developments, not just in Banyule, but across the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McKern.
Councillor Castaldo has pretty much said what I want to. There's two elements that I wanted to highlight, and that is the high standard of environmental sustainable design here. In relation to achieving no gas, I mean, that is a masterstroke in my opinion, and sets the bar high in relation to future standards for future developments. The other is the large social housing project, which will have up to 58 apartments, another element of setting the bar high. And I too believe that one of the reasons we've achieved these incredible standards is the community consultation and investment that that we've made, that council has made, and that council officers have achieved working well with the community. So it's hats off to a good working team, but also that It isn't just this project that should be the beneficiary of such high standards in ESD and social housing, but we make this the mark for future developments too. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Does any other councillor wish to speak? I might just briefly note on behalf of councillors our sincere appreciation for the terrific work done by the officers in bringing about this whole Bellfield development, and in particular to Director Scott Walker and his team. I'm personally overwhelmed with the success that we've achieved on all three fronts: the social housing component, the private housing component, and the community hub. It's overwhelmed my expectations when we set out on the journey, and I think it would only have been possible with the quality of the officers that we have there in that team. So thank you very much on our behalf of council. With that in mind, I would like to put the motion to the council. So all those in favour and those against, I declare the motion carried. Item 7.13, record of councillor meetings. No submitters, and we have a recommendation. Moved Councillor De Morales and seconded Councillor Champion. Does anyone wish to speak? I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? And those against? I declare the motion carried. General business. So I'm not sure what, we do have a couple of general business items this evening. Might kick off with Deputy Mayor, Councillor Malikan.
Yeah, thank you. I'd just like to recognise the achievement of Duke Trent Tiedemann, who won the Masters Sportsman of the Year award at the Regional Awards on the 3rd of this month, a virtual event, but no, he won the Masters Sportsman of the Year award for the 2020 Victorian Disabled Sports and Recreational Awards. So a massive achievement, and a member of Watermark, a resident of Ibbott Ward, and I've been assured he's a very fine gentleman as well, so I'd like to congratulate him on behalf of the council. Wish him the best for the future, and I'm looking forward to actually meeting him, so I hope I get that opportunity one day. But no, congratulations from the council and well done on your award.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Castaldo.
I'd just like to acknowledge the first online Banyule Carols event that was held over the weekend. The Great Hall was a stunning venue and lovely to be virtually back in there again. Whilst it was disappointing we couldn't have been there in person, you do have the opportunity to watch the performance as many times as you like until the 26th of December, something we've never been able to do before. There was fabulous performances by Dennis Walter, who was also the MC, Nadia Komazek, the Kazoos, the Australian Children's Choir, the Diamond Valley Brass Band and the Melbourne Contemporary Choir, delivering uplifting Christmas favourites. Most importantly, Santa did find his way there, and after the walk around the Ivanhoe shops, even getting his beard trimmed en route. Big shout out to the whole production team. It was a great performance. So sit down with the family, friends, neighbours, pets, enjoy this much loved Banyule event as you please.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any other councillor wishing to raise a general business item? I would just like to briefly raise an item to thank the Bundoora Scouts for formally scarfing me a couple of weeks ago at a ceremony. It was a tremendous privilege and honour to be scarfed by the Bundoora Scouts. They and all our other Scouts groups are doing tremendous work in our community. And one of the things that really struck me was just the quality of the leadership and engagement from the young people coming through their ranks, where as I was leaving the event, I had a young leader, a young cub, 11, 12 years old, to come up and ask me what council's doing about the future of sustainability and climate change. And it blew my mind away that he was so engaged and interested off the blue. And I said, you know, so did mum and dad put you up to it? And no. So that just demonstrates the level of engagement of our future young leaders. And I would just like to pay tribute to all the Scouts groups in Banyule. So with that in mind, I'll note that there is a confidential item on the agenda this evening that will be considered by the Council in camera. We'll now move to the closure of the meeting. So in accordance with section 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020, the meeting will now be closed to the members of the public for the consideration of one confidential matter relating to private commercial information and personal information. Can I please have a councillor move and second for council to close our meeting to members of the public prior to considering the confidential item 11.1? Moved Councillor Champion and seconded Councillor McKern, and I'll put that up. That is carried. Seconded by Councillor Neely. Thank you, Councillor Di Pasquale. As this is our last council meeting of the year, we would like, on behalf of the council and our staff and our CEO, we would like to thank you for participating and tuning into our meeting this evening. We know it's been a difficult year for many and hope that the holiday period will bring you some joy. From everyone at Banyule, have a safe and wonderful holiday season. We will be back in 2021 with our first council meeting to be held on Monday the 8th of February 2021. We are very much looking forward as a council to the time that we can have members of the gallery come in person and engage with us through that process. So fingers crossed that happens sooner rather than later in 2021. Have a great Christmas holiday period. I'll now adjourn the meeting for 10 minutes and thank all at attendance and formally closing the meeting at 8:36 p.m.